Kyocera copiers are more than just a copier. They're your total document solution. Contact your local award-winning service provider, One Source Technology Solutions, at 601-684-3815 for the latest in what Kyocera has to offer.
Buying Dirt is presented by 601 Sports, Bruce Gray Lampro, Casco Cleaning Solutions, Chase Buckles Mortgage Advisor, Culbertson Cattle Company, Culbertson Concrete Pumping Service, Kirk Douglas Heating and Cooling, Levi Patton Farm Bureau, Southern Ag Credit, Southwest Mississippi NDA Branch, Southwest Mississippi Wildlife Expo, and United Country McDaniel Gray Realty.
Buy dirt.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Buying Dirt. Keith, how's it going, man? You all right? You good?
I don't know. You tell me. How am I doing?
You're doing pretty well, I think.
Thank you.
You had a closing earlier was at the end of last week?
It was the end of last week.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I know
Thank
that
you.
was I know the family you represented was very appreciative of all the hard work you did. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but you did a good job with that.
It was a mess. There was a lot of legal rambling going on there, but we got them through it, and I just kept telling, man, I don't know if you ever seen Clint Eastwood movie where he says, the Indian says, endeavor to persevere. That's what I had to keep telling him. I said, we're going to get there. We'll get you through it.
That's right. We have a special guest with us today. We have Mr. Robbie Yates. Robbie, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm good. Thank you for having me, man.
Robbie is the archery manager right down here at 601 Sports here in Brookhaven. And over the course of the last few years, I've gotten to know Robbie a little bit. Of course, I go in there. You talk to my wife, she'll tell you I go in there way too much. But I always Keith, I enjoy going in and just chewing the fat and talking with everybody. But anyway, I asked Robbie to come on the show and to talk a little bit about archery. It seems like July 4th, for me anyway, I don't know about for you guys, but for me, July 4th is the switch.
It's getting there. Everybody's
That's right.
mind is flipped, getting away from summer, starting to think about fall.
Thinking about fall. So, archery season will be here before we know it. It's just around the corner. That velvet season's mid-September, and then it just takes off after that. So, but we want to have Robbie on to talk a little bit about archery and things that, and again, this is not coming from myself or Keith. This is coming from a professional, someone that knows the archery world.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by that?
Well, I was just saying that you and I, it doesn't matter what we think or what our opinion is. We want to rely on somebody that's professional. So, Robbie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I have spent the past, I've been down here now 3 years. So for 23 years, I ran archery out of Birmingham, Alabama. And I had, my dad actually grew up here in Sontag. And so I was very familiar with this area growing up. I was always coming down here and turkey hunting and fishing and hunting and all that. But what got me into archery, you had asked me kind of how I got started in it. But when I was about 9, 10 years old, we always went to Phoenix City, Alabama to hunt with my uncle. He used to be a coach there at Smith Station. And, man, he had an incredible hunting property. And they had put me on deer left and right, and I kept missing with a gun. I mean, every time I pulled the trigger, I could go to I could hit targets like lights out, get on the stand. And I was always hunting by myself, at that age. Yeah. And so finally, I remember it was Thanksgiving, and I went back to the camp, and it was all my uncle, my dad, and a couple of the other old retired coaches. They all just sitting around, and I had missed a really, really good deer. And I remember I told my dad, I was about to cry, I ain't going to lie. And everybody was kind of like, oh, it's all right. And I said, that's it, I'm done. I am done with this rifle hunting. And they were like, well, my dad always said, well, you ain't going to quit hunting because you missed. And I was like, no, I didn't say I wanted to quit hunting. I said, I want to get a bow. And they all started laughing at me. And they said, well, if you can't hit one with a gun, what makes you think you're going to hit one with a bow? And I said, well, they'll be closer. And so that following year, I had a bow and, man, shot a deer. And ever since then, I just got hooked. And I came up here to Brandon, Mississippi, was hunting with my uncle and my cousin, and we were hunting with a gun. And I finally hit one with a gun, killed it. and walked up to it, and the first thing I said was, "I wish I had my bow." Yeah. And my dad said, "That's it. He's hooked." So that's kind of the background how I got into bow hunting. And,
that's a great story.
But yeah, I absolutely love it. But
well, tell us. All right, let's just start from the beginning. Let's say someone is out there, and they're considering getting into archery. They've always, and it doesn't matter if they're a teenager or someone that's in their 40s or 50s. It's something they've always wanted to do, or maybe they just recently decided to do it. But I've learned something, Keith, and we run into people all the time that we sell land to that really want to get into the outdoors, and then they'll call us and say, well, who do I talk to about buying a four-wheeler or a tractor, or I want to buy my son a rifle with a scope. I mean, how do I do that? Which we then put them in contact with businesses like 601. And but I venture to say there are people out there who want to get into archery who just don't know where to start. They really don't know what to consider. And nowadays you can buy a bow really from, I use it like Amazon as an example, but the truth is there are tons of sites where you can buy a bow. But bow hunting is really very individually specific, right, to the person. So maybe you can give us some tips of what people need to consider.
So the first thing people always ask is how much. Everybody's on a budget nowadays. And what I tell guys, that's what a lot of people, they go online and they look on Amazon or Temu or whatever, and they buy these bows. And what I tell people too is, and it's not just, whether you're local at 601 or if you're out of state listening to the podcast, every pro shop is going to have your mid-range, your price point bows and up. And so people automatically think that they're going to get a better deal by, saving $50 or $100. That's the first mistake. And the second mistake is they buy the bow not knowing that it has to be sized. So they buy a bow, a lot of times it may not fit. It may not fit them. So they spent that money and they can't return it.
That's right.
So as a pro shop, we're going to make sure that you get the stay in the price that you want to stay in, but also get fitted for that bow. A lot of people don't realize that buying a bow is not just it's not like anything else. You don't just buy it and go shoot. It needs to be set up. It needs to be tuned. It needs to be.
So when you say get fitted, give us some examples of what
So what you call like draw length. In the industry, you have a draw length. Everybody, I'm a 27-inch draw. You're probably 29.5, 30-inch draw. So draw length is basically it gets into arm length and hold, stuff like that. So when we would measure, and if somebody measures out at 28, we set the bow up to 28.
And that's the key. I think most people don't know the bow can adapt. It can be changed to accommodate the draw length.
And
right?
most bows
in most
now.
cases,
most cases now, most bows have what they have adjustable cams. They have either a module on the cam, whereas used to it was cam Pacific. But it is the biggest thing is people will buy the bow and not get it fitted. And so if the bow don't fit you and you can't shoot it, you hadn't really saved anything.
That's right. So it's important to talk, and that again, 601 is here available. 601 Sports is right here, and you're available. But the truth is, you can go anywhere in any town, just about it, and there's someone who can help you. And I would strongly advise you to reach out to your local professional, bow archery professional, to help you set up a bow so it fits you uniquely.
Yeah. And like I tell guys all the time, they say, "Well, I didn't buy a bow from you." Like, what? Hey, it don't matter if you. I mean, yeah, we want you to buy a bow from us, but if you don't, that don't mean that we can't help you get it set up right. The
truth is, if they have a bow, they can bring it into you, and you guys can help them get it set up. So there's more to it than just buying the bow. I mean, obviously, you got to have arrows, you got to have a sight of some type, a release. So let's talk about some of that stuff.
So on your bow, your arrow rests, your sights, a quiver. Quiver is what's going to hold your arrows, and then obviously your arrows. The biggest thing I see is guys come into a shop or they come into the store and they have arrows and they're not the right arrows. Arrows is not something that you just buy and then just shoot with the bow. You have what you call a spine on an arrow. That's how stiff that arrow is. So if an arrow is too stiff, it's not going to tune. It's not going to shoot consistent. If If it's too flimsy, it's not going to tune and it's not going to be consistent. So when I tell people all the time that I ask the questions like, hey, what's your bow setup? If a guy comes in on Saturday and said, hey, I need to get some arrows for my bow. What kind of bow do you shoot? Man, I have no idea. Well, how many pounds you pulling? Man, I don't know. And I always tell people, like, bring your bow, make sure that I can look at your bow to see what you need. I do see where this has always been kind of not a pet peeve of mine. People come to me to make sure that I take care of them in the right way. And so there is times where I have a guy goes, well, just send me those arrows right there and I'll just shoot those. And I'm like, I hate telling them this and I don't want to sound rude when I say it, but I'm like, look, I don't want you leaving out of here and it being wrong. Yeah. I would rather tell you, look, I don't want.
They're going to ask you who set it up.
Exactly. Somebody's going to see them on the range and be like, man, who sold you those arrows? Well, that guy down at 601, well, he don't know what he's doing. So I always tell people, like, we want to make sure that it's set up right. And archery is one of those things that I have seen, how do I say it? I see more mistakes of people when they've bought things, and I hate telling them, man, yeah, you bought those arrows, you spent $150 on those arrows, but they're nowhere close to being the right arrow.
Yeah, and that's something else I wanted to point out. You talked about a budget for your bow. Well, that's something else you get. There's a budget for arrows as well as a sight, arrow rest, sights. There's there's a lot of them out there, and those prices vary.
They do. Arrows are anywhere from sometimes $6 an arrow to $20 an arrow.
Sure.
And like I said, if somebody's getting started in it, they don't need a $2,000 setup. They don't need a $18 arrow. I tell people you can get set up in a bow anywhere from say $350 for a good bow that's going to last. That's not like a cheap Chinese remake type thing. And
the key is you can be successful. And when I say successful, I mean you can go out and harvest an animal.
Absolutely. I tell people all day long, you don't have to have the most expensive bow to harvest an animal. You could take a $300 package bow and go and shoot just as many whitetail and people will sit there and go, why are there $1,500 and $2,000 bows by themselves?
Right.
And that gets into quality and different things, but at the end of the day, yes, you can take a budget bow and still hunt and still kill,
still be successful.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the poundage situation. And Keith, I know you and I have talked about this. I think, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but let you tell your story. But were you injured a few years ago and it kind of hurt your shoulder and it kind of limit?
Yeah, well, my biggest problem is I've gotten old. I'm not the man I used to be, and I've learned to admit that. When I have not really bow hunted in several years.
Right.
And it didn't really have anything to do with the injury. I could still draw my bow back, but when I would get my bow out, I saw that I was having trouble pulling it back, and I would get tired quicker.
And it could be that the poundage maybe can be reduced.
And I've been thinking about that while we've talked. You're probably going to see me before long. I'm going to bring my bow
yes, sir.
in.
Come on.
But Robbie, let's talk about the pound. I know, and we kind of talked about this in my office before we drove over, but a lot of guys, especially guys, kind of get caught up with, if it's capable of shooting 70 or 80 pounds, that's where I want to be because I'm a guy and I can do it. But that's not necessarily what you need. Just because it can do that doesn't mean you have to do that.
Oh,
right?
All the time. I tell guys that the poundage on the bows. I don't want to just throw a percentage out of there, but I would say that well over 85 to 90% of guys that come in, a lot of times, are pulling more weight than what they need to.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like I tell people,
it's just reality.
It's reality.
That's right.
I have guys all the time that say, well, man, I don't shoot my bow anymore because I can't pull 70 pounds. I'm like, well, have you tried 60 pounds? Well, no. I don't know if I can pull 60. Have you tried 55? Have you tried? So the bows nowadays, if a kid is being able to take a deer with 35 pounds,
sure.
As an adult at 50 or 55, you could still reasonably hunt it. Now, unless you have a like a bad shoulder, if like a doctor tells you or something, but says,
Sure.
hey, you don't need to
There
be
are
pulling
limits,
it.
yeah.
But a lot of times, guys go, man, I never thought that I could still hunt at 60 pounds, and I mean, all day long. A 60-pound bow will take just any North American game. Anything that you want to hunt, you can go down in the weight. But you want to be able to draw that bow. I tell people, like a lot of times guys will come into a shop and we're going to do a tune, and they stand there, get ready to shoot, and they have to draw the bow towards the ceiling, which makes me nervous because I have had arrows hit through the ceiling and lights, and I've seen it all. But that's just pulling way too much weight. But hey, they got it back. They're like, I can get it back. Give me a second. Well, by the second shot or third shot, they're struggling. Now they can't draw, and I'm like, way too much weight. So I tell people, make sure you can draw a bow comfortably. If you can sit down and draw the bow, or I tell people, if you're wanting to target shoot, especially down here in Southwest Mississippi, it gets hot. It's hot this time of year, and if you can't shoot 20 or 25 arrows without being worn out, then you probably have a little bit more weight than what you need.
And we kind of talked about this too. It's fairly easy to get out here and shoot and be consistent when you're in a pair of shorts and T-shirt. But fast forward to November when it's 35, 40 degrees and you have layers of clothes on, that simple movement that you took for granted back in July now becomes hard. And you've been sitting for 2 hours without moving.
Oh, yeah.
All that, and of course, you know how it happens when you're in the field hunting. Quite often, you have just a window of opportunity in a matter of seconds to make a decision, draw your bow or your whatever, gun or whatever, and make a good, clean shot. And so you not only do you have to be prepared for it physically, you got to be prepared for it mentally. And part of the reason I think the most valuable thing with archery is confidence. And if backing off that poundage gives you more confidence, it's going to make you a better hunter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I tell people, and this gets into a whole nother kind of discussion, but most guys do not draw their bow with their hunting clothes on. If they are going to hunt in November with a jacket, and I'm not saying doing it this time of year because you probably pass out from heat stroke, but it's amazing how I've literally had guys call me from their camp and go, man, I went to draw, but I couldn't even draw the bow because when you're out here in shorts and T-shirts, your arm stays closer to you to the inside, so you can pull a little bit harder. But when you get a jacket on, now everything pushes out. So it's like you can't get that smooth draw. So I always tell people to try to practice with everything. I mean, even if you're wearing a bino harness, most people never practice with bino, and then they making a stand. And they go, man, this bino harness, what do I do? It's all about how you practice. But being able to draw that bow back smoothly, that's a key.
So if you have questions, if you're thinking about getting into archery, I would recommend you go see Robbie right down here at 601 Sports, and he can set you up. And don't be afraid to go in there and just say, man, look, I don't know what to do. Just admit questions. It, man. Just ask questions.
Ask questions, man.
They're not going to judge you.
Absolutely not.
And they're going to help you get set up. And I guarantee you, fast forward to mid-October when you are successful, you're going to be glad you did it.
That's right.
It's going to be all worth it, right, Keith? It'll be all worth it.
I'm going to come see you.
We're going to have you shooting. We're going to have you shooting.
All right, Robbie. Thank you, man. We
Yes,
appreciate your time, and hope everybody has a good week. And we'll see you right here on Buying Dirt next week.
See y'all.